Hi everyone, it's the 1st of February 2018, it's a Thursday, it's 21 minutes past 9 AM here in Australia. Quick video today on how blockchain is disrupting particular industries and the opportunity of blockchain actually interrupting industries in the sense that it can widen and broaden the free markets and allow individuals to get involved in particular industries where they may not have been able to previously. What that does is creates greater opportunity. It also brings, I suppose, competition into the market, sort of dilutes a lot of the centralisation that we see in so many industries. And the one that sort of caught my attention, because there was a bit of a news article here in Australia, and that was got to do with taxis. And I'm sure this applies to a lot of the westernised countries and pretty much anywhere where there's taxis. In Australia we have, I suppose, a licensing type of scenario with taxis. You can submit to get a plate, or they call them plates, and you get, and I don't know the complete ins and outs, but you can apply to get a license. Now in the last 10 years since the internet, we've seen competition in a very different way come on board, and I talk about these platforms that don't really hold any stock, the eBays and the Amazons and Alibabas, and then what we're talking about in regards to the passenger economy, we're talking things like Uber and Airbnb and those type of scenarios, and then that's even moved over into delivery services and transport, and there's an evolution happening. You could call it a revolution if you like, I suppose, because what's happening is the reality of blockchain is that it is going to disrupt a lot of these industries and make them have to work harder to maintain market share, and if not adapt, and whether that means that they have to change their business model to keep up with the evolution of blockchain technology, which is, I think, in 10 years time they're not going to have much of a choice, because some of the old styled platforms, or what do you call it, the infrastructure that's existing will become obsolete in a lot of ways. So what I want to talk about was the passenger economy. Now in Australia we've just had Uber has really taken off, especially in Sydney and Melbourne and a lot of the capital cities, Hobart, Adelaide and Brisbane, and it's really affected the monopoly that taxis used to have. I mean, if we go back 15-20 years ago, in each capital city there would have been a series of very, I suppose, tight-knit taxi brands or taxi companies, and they had pretty much a stranglehold of the entire system. But since Uber's come on, and it sort of came in and crept its way in, they've had a big challenge trying to fight market share and attention. And what we've seen is that the government in Australia here is actually, I think they're putting a new tax onto Uber, whether it's a GST or a particular type of tax, trying to bring their charges up, because I think the ratio at the moment, I've just got this article open, is that taxis are about 1.5 times more expensive. And I mean, they've got infrastructure, they've obviously got staff, and they've got call centres, and there's a whole heap of different things, and it's old infrastructure that would have been existing, so that their business model is based on a certain profit and loss, and I get that, but guess what? Uber comes in, everything's online. There's a wider diversity of individuals actually being a part of the network, and it's going to really, really challenge the way these systems work. And putting another tax onto transport doesn't help anyone. It's not going to help the industry, and if anything, all it does is it's going to encourage new competition to come into the market. So I've just been writing a couple of things down, and I've in Canberra here, it was about 200. This is not totally accurate. Probably 15 years ago, it was $250,000 Australian to get a taxi plate, and there was about 400 cabs. And I remember one particular week they doubled the licenses from say 200 cabs to 400 cabs, and then there was this massive dilution. Then the prices of cabs went up, and it's kept going up. So the drivers weren't getting as much work, the prices were going through the roof, and it's pretty much another way to tax the individuals, or the civilians, if you like, and creates a greater gap between the big boys and the common folk. It's just more money going out, but you know what, you've got to pay the drivers for their time. So what I wanted to do is talk to you about two blockchain opportunities that are coming up that are going to disrupt this entire sector. Now, the first one is Helbiz. Now, Helbiz is going to be a peer-to-peer vehicle sharing, and anyone who's been watching my videos, I've talked about BankX, I've also talked about DAV, and I'm going to cover a little bit about DAV. And they're basically leveraging existing assets that you may have. In this case, it could be vehicles, and being able to leverage that asset and put it out there to be utilised in a more effective way. But what Helbiz is going to be doing, and they're launching in Q2 of 2018, is a peer-to-peer vehicle sharing marketplace. Now, because of Internet 2 and blockchain, we're talking about a worldwide market here, and there's no doubt there'll be certain ecosystems. Now, if Helbiz can actually penetrate certain jurisdictions, whether it's the US or Australia or Europe, and actually get their application moving, they're going to become competition in the sense to the existing taxi infrastructure, and also anywhere where there's transport, essentially, and it could roll up, actually affect buses and trains and all sorts of different things. So what that's going to do is obviously bring a broader market and hopefully provide greater access for people to save money and find better services. So Helbiz is going to be, like I said, bringing out a peer-to-peer vehicle sharing. I've just opened up a couple of tabs. Now, they've got a token sale, but that starts in March. It's actually, or February, the end of this month, because it's the 1st of February, so coming up very soon. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just letting you know that that's part of this whole space. But the big thing that's interesting about Helbiz is how they're actually going to roll this out and get the attention that they need. And they're going to be bringing out a Helbiz coin token called an HBZ. Just having these tokens and putting them onto the market is one way of getting attention to their application and their services. However, obviously it is a very, very saturated market at the moment. It'll be very interesting to see what they've got in store in 2018. Now, it's going to be an ERC20 token. It's going to be a utility token, so you'll be able to use it for services and things like that. And again, I'm going to repeat it. We're walking into and we're evolving into a tokenized future. Everything's going to be based on tokens, and that's how we're going to leverage these services. So Helbiz is a peer-to-peer marketplace that makes renting a car, motorcycle or bicycle convenient, affordable and rewarding. Helbiz combines a familiar car sharing approach in the transportation sector with blockchain technology. Our mobility ecosystem will soon provide access to individual vehicles as well as fleets and other transportation services. Helbiz mobility system is a platform based on the Ethereum blockchain and powered by the Helbiz tokens. And I can see these evolving into, like I said, it could evolve into trucking, transport, basic deliveries around your home city. Could even go into food deliveries, like Domino's pizzas. And things like that, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute with DAV as well. They're looking at drone technology and being able to actually have certain products delivered to your door via drones. Crazy stuff, and we've seen it in sci-fi movies and things like that. And I think what's going to happen, we're going to have certain restricted airspaces over our roads or something like that for drones. It's going to be very, very interesting next 20 years. So. Another thing with Helbiz, and I've just gone through the white paper here, I've just highlighted some paragraphs that I thought were relevant. And it's like anything, all of these entities have a vision, they have a goal, and it's going to be one of those things over the next 10 years. It's all about attention and market share and targeting specific industries and how that's going to actually affect and sculpt society and make their lives better. And I think that's the big thing. Helbiz platform will allow all the involved parties to be fairly rewarded for their contributions into the mobility ecosystem, as the blockchain technology will permit to verify each single input, whether coming from a corporate authority or an individual. So the great thing about smart contracts is you're taking out all the middlemen. So there's no brokers, there's no receptionists, there's no management, in the sense that you don't have a whole heap of people sitting in an office dealing, and obviously there'd be costs and fees and all sorts of overheads involved with that type of infrastructure. So putting it into an app where there's a direct peer-to-peer smart contract is going to make things a lot more cost effective and I think a lot more transparent in regards to what services you're actually going to get. And this type of ideology is going to flow over into everything that we are going to be doing. Could be from your power, could be from, like I said, with this is transportation, could be, you know, food, home deliveries, all these type of things. Anywhere where there's an arrangement between you as an individual and a corporate entity. So they are looking at bringing out an application. Now the application is going to be a system that connects car owners, renters and service providers through a simple, easy to use interface to simplify the process and increase Helbiz coin adoption. Helbiz mobility system will integrate several services in one single platform. And this is something I've been talking about a lot. The applications that allow a greater sense of functionality in this space are going to do a lot better than the ones that are very narrow and haven't thought about how we can leverage and bring all of the services into one. So in the beginning, the Helbiz application will have an explorer, which will discover available transportation options and related services. It'll have an internal exchange to convert major cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum into obviously their coin, Helbiz coin. It'll have a built-in wallet to store and use these tokens. There will be templates of smart contracts to allow vehicle owners to share your assets, so you can take control of your own ecosystem, in the sense if you've got particular, you might have a couple of cars, or you might have a fleet of trucks, or you might have an existing delivery service and you're looking to migrate over into a more streamlined service. They're going to have all of this there for you. There's going to be templates of smart contracts and for data providers as well, to set the rules and the level of reward they are willing to offer to data owners, whilst the latter retains control to cancel the contracts or edit permissions. What that means is that to verify the network, you need people supporting the network. It's a bit like mining and that type of stuff. You'll also have a certain amount of CPU and data power part of your ecosystem, and I'm pretty sure that that's part of this as well, and you have to reward them. So there'll be certain fees and things that go towards those people to make this whole system seamless and work very well. So how does it all work? Quite simply, it's going to be this five-step little infographic here on how it works. And the first one is that you'll get your app, log in, and you'll browse your cars. Maybe it could be by your vicinity, your postcode, your capital city, and once you've found the particular service you want, you will then, the system will guide you through a verification process based on a digital identity. And I think there's going to be a little bit of that too. I think we have to, you can't just, people want to know who they're picking up. They want to know a little bit about the driver, and it probably goes both ways. So there will be a little bit of verification. Then there will be the smart contract, which will have the terms and conditions of the agreement, such as the fare and the duration of the rental, purchase of the insurance policies, and all of those little bits of information that are relevant. Then once the terms and conditions have been agreed, the smart contract will then be verified, and your smartphone will then have remote key access. And I thought this was really interesting because I've just been in some new cars. I'm still a bit old school. I've got an old Ute. And it's still a stick shift type of thing, but cars are now coming, you know, without even keys and just push button, and you know, they've got thumbprint finger recognition. I think the one that my friend's got, you just walk up to the car and the keys activate the front door. Driver's door, front door, driver's door. So I can see this becoming part of it. You know, you'll be able to open your car with a smartphone. There might be an encrypted an address or a particular, what do you call it, a key that allows you into the vehicle. And obviously that would mean that cars would then have to start integrating smart technology into their systems to allow these type of services to happen. I think that's already happening. We're seeing the cars get a lot smarter. We all know that they've got chips these days, and it's only going to get faster and crazier from here. The fifth part of these applications is pretty much payment. And again, because it's peer-to-peer and it's just one person involved, or two people, or two parties involved, it should be very, very simple, and you can just use and deduct your coins from your digital wallet very, very easy on the at the end of the trip or the end of the terms. Now, so that's Helbiz and I do see this being valid, and it is going to be very competitive. And I was looking at BankX. BankX was talking about being the bank of digital assets, and that included automobiles, and it could have been anything. It could be renting out your home, anything that you've got, computer power. Maybe you're a content provider and you're creating content, you want to lease that out or rent that out, or seek people to buy and pay for your data. It's a crazy little space that I'm still getting my head around, but it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And again, I can only see greater opportunities from this. Now, the other one that I pulled up was DAV, and I've been looking at DAV as well. Now, they're going to be also focusing on decentralizing the autonomous or automobile industry. And again, you can earn and use DAV tokens to provide transportation services. Now, they're going one step further, and they're also talking about transportation in regards to like drone technology. And I've got a couple of windows open. I found this really interesting here. They've got a guy called Dr. Scott Horowitz here, who's an aerospace advisor. And there's no doubt they're talking about how to best utilise drone technology into our infrastructure. There's a lot to be put forward and a lot of understanding of how, we've got drones flying around us, how does that affect society, and what do we need to do to protect not only the companies and individuals involved, but I suppose just society in itself. You don't want drones coming down and hitting you in the face with a pizza or something like that and causing more issues than having the program. So I opened up the white paper and a lot about how they're going to revolutionise the transportation industry. And they've got an example here. They've got, and I'll just read this out. Today, large corporations have already begun experimenting with fleets of autonomous vehicles. Domino's pizza delivery robots, Amazon's Prime air drones, and Waymo's autonomous taxis, and Baidu's open source self-driving cars are all leading the way towards fully autonomous transportation systems. So this also disrupts the taxi and the transport industry, as I was talking before, where at the moment we've got all these people who own taxi plates, and there's an actual physical human being behind these cars. Now, anyone that's been following Tesla, anyone that's is interested in drones, I'm looking at buying one, and I'll show you what I was actually looking at buying. I've got the page open, and I've been looking at this Mavic Pro. Obviously, I won't be necessarily delivering pizzas with it, but I wanted for do some videos of some upcoming projects and things like that. So it is a very exciting space for those who are into it, and it has revolutionised how we actually view the world as well. So getting back into the drones, we can see that they're going to definitely, I think, be a part of our future, and hopefully a very, very positive part of our future. And the only thing that I can see is that there's an issue where the autonomous type of ideology is going to affect the capacity for humans to actually have the job. So, and there is a big fear that if everything's going to go automated, whether it's in a factory or in the transport industry like this, and deliveries, a whole heap of people who are currently in these industries are going to be displaced, and they're going to have to look for other jobs. But I wouldn't be too worried about that. Reason being is because I think there's going to be greater opportunities to earn money from things that you don't even realise that you can right now. I think everyone will be able to set up their homes in a way that is earning passive incomes, whether it's from electricity or power savings, solar power and alternative power. And then there's CPU and GPU power. There's content providing. There's things like curation. If you look at Steem, you can curate, just read blogs. And you could read blogs all day and get paid to do it. There's just so many opportunities coming up. And so I think there's going to be a balance. There might be some mixed emotions when all of this comes in, but it's all relative to how fast this is all rolled out. Another page on DAV is they're just talking about the entire passenger economy and how big it is. And anyone that's been looking at investments, or they want to get a greater understanding of the actual money involved in certain industries, Now, I think in America, the passenger economy is worth about $7 trillion on its own, or it's going to be worth $7 trillion leading up to 2050. So they can see a massive increase and drive in this particular industry, and it's going to disrupt how people view ownership of their vehicles, and people being able to actually leverage them as a side business, or a mobility as a service is the little slogan that they've got here. So it is a very, very big market. So there's a lot of opportunities for people who want to get into this and try to leverage some of the market share. And that's why I'm sort of interested in these particular entities, because it's sort of something that we don't really think about too much, is the logistics of these and how much money is flowing through these companies. But again, people like DAV and Helbiz and a series of other blockchain companies that are coming out and are really looking to disrupt the entire network and provide a greater opportunity for free market. And I think that's a positive thing, I really do. And if it brings in the common folk like you and me and gives us an opportunity to be invested in it from a community point of view, holding tokens and I mean, there's still a lot of speculation about whether tokens are considered a security or a share. I don't look at it like that. I mean, if you look at the current stock market, a lot of shares, that there's no energy behind the shares. You just get a piece of paper and you own it, and then you look at P&Ls. The advantage of blockchain is that there's communities, they become utilities, there's specific initiatives that you have to actively be a part of to actually obtain rewards. And the more work you put in with some of these utilities, the more return that you can actually get. And I think that is where those particular utility tokens are the ones that are going to do really well in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So that's all I wanted to share with you, is DAV and Helbiz disrupting the current mobility, or what is it, the passenger economy. And I think even Uber and some of these others that have disrupted the existing taxi companies are definitely going to have a bit of a run for their money. They're probably going to have to adapt as well to the fact that there's going to be more competition and greater incentives for other people to get involved in these, rather than say an Uber or a taxi, because you can actually make some passive incomes on the side. And if they do well, I mean, there's nothing guaranteed in this space whether or not Helbiz can actually penetrate the market and actually nail it and do really well. Same with DAV. That's something that we have to monitor and see in the next 10 years. So, but again, it's really exciting space, and that's all I wanted to share with you today. Was the passenger economy. DAV and Helbiz, have a look, check it out. Let me know what you think. It's a very exciting space. That's all I've got. I'm going to do a market review shortly. Just want to have a little chat about what's happening in Feb 2018 and what are we going to see over the next couple of months, and try to make a call on what's going to happen. So thanks for everyone's support. I've been really appreciating it. Let me know what you think in the comments on YouTube as usual, and on my Steem blogs. And thanks for watching, and tune into the next video. Thanks, guys.